More than 55% of HDB owners just told us that they want to upgrade to a private condo today. How does this actually impact you? Because when we look at this news, it pretty much sounds so harmless, right? And most probably, if you are a HDB owner, that's not the number you should be watching. Much rather, when I read between the lines, a warning, and everyone is naturally going to see it as some upgrading demand and how the prices will hold. But the thing is, when I connected the dots, when I looked between the numbers, I saw something else, and that something else actually connects back to the last video where I shared with you how the HDB market is going to move. And if you are able to understand this video properly, you will know when is the right time for you to take action, whether you are looking to sell or you are looking to buy, or whether you are looking to hold on to a property. So if you see this survey, this was actually done by PropNex, a wide number of over 1,700 plus people. This survey was a very extensive one, and from what I understand, Straits Times actually requested for PropNex to do up a survey just to show what is the general market sentiment for HDB flat owners. And if you actually want to read it for your own based on this extensive report, do take a moment to join me on my Telegram channel. At the same time, do remember to like and subscribe to my channel as usual if you like my content. Let me first show you what the survey says on the surface. 73.9% of the people are generally happy with their current flat. It still meets their needs. But here's the interesting part, because more than 55% still hope to own a private home one day. More than half still holding on to this dream of wanting to actually upgrade. So, of course, when we see that numbers, we minus it out. On the flip side, 44% say that no plans to upgrade at all. We are going to dive deep into the data, because when we split up the demand based on the different age groups, we understand where is the future demand going to be. And this is one of the most important things whenever we are planning to sell our property or buy our property, right? Because when we are able to predict the demand, this is where we are able to determine where the prices will move, whether it's going upwards or whether it's going downwards. Same thing for you if you are an owner that holds on to a HDB flat. This is where you determine if, let's say, I want to sell in the next 5 years, 10 years, whether the HDB that you own today is actually something that the future generation will want to buy from you or not. Generally, those people who feel that they don't want to upgrade, they actually belong more towards the more mature property owners, which is like the baby boomers and the Gen X people, and they range 72% and 50% respectively, which is what I do understand. Because why? Generally, when I meet clients of this age group, people usually want to retire already and they don't want to think about taking up a bigger property loan size. So generally for them, if they have already upgraded in the last 10 years, they would have stayed in their property. If they have not, it's probably not a good time for them to think about it that way. So aside from the older group of people, what I hope that all of us will want to focus on is actually the millennials, Gen Zs group. Why? Because this group of people are actually the group of people that in the next 5, 10, 15 years will start buying from us if we are property owners or if we currently own to a property. So if you see over here, even though the Gen Zs, the sample size count is quite little, but you will notice that they are usually already staying in mostly either a private condo, in the OCR, RCR, own and live in the CCR as well, or stay in landed properties. Which means that if this survey, this group of numbers actually correlates or connects the dots to what the future public housing demand is, right? Generally, the older generations will prefer HDBs, and the younger generations, many of them will actually choose a private condo. And now, if I relate this back to whether you are owning a private condo or plan to purchase one, this is where it gets important, because at the end of this video, I'm also going to show you in terms of the budget, where are the general demand going to flow to. And in this way, if you understand it correctly, you are able to also plan your purchase or even choose to upgrade to a condo in a more systematic way. But of course, if you're not so sure on how to do so, usually how my consultation is being planned is based on your individual needs and also based on the survey and the numbers that I have. And this is where we are also able to determine where the demand actually will flow to, whether it goes to a private condo or a HDB as well. But of course, over here, just want to do a quick disclaimer. Am I saying that HDB cannot buy? It is not in this way, because if you have followed me through my past few HDB series, you will understand that there is a specific group of HDB owners that need to be more aware, and there are some group of HDB owners that are very safe, and I also do encourage people to hold on to their HDB as well. So if you want to follow through this series to understand where is the HDB demand going, I will link up my past few videos on the top right hand corner of the video here, and you can watch it after you finish this video. So one more thing, when asked about prices, 32.7% of people expect HDB prices to not fall in the next 12 months versus only 24.7% for private property owners. So even HDB owners themselves feel that their own flat is less resilient than the private prices. So if you read it in the normal way, the story is actually quite straightforward, right? We are talking about prices. The HDB owners are very satisfied. There's strong upgraded aspiration. There's more confidence in private prices. But apart from all this data, we really need to look deep, because this basically sounds like the demand is coming. It sounds like everything is bullish. But here's the part that many owners may miss. There's one number in this survey nobody is going to talk about properly. And to me, I realized that this is actually the most important one. With that being said, 55% of HDB owners who still hope to own a private home one day, now you also need to think about this. Because in my last video on the removal of the 15 months wait-out period, I showed you the supply which is upcoming, 13,000, 15,000, 19,000, which works out to be about 56,000 MOP flats year on year. So when more than half of these owners are thinking about upgrading, right? That works out to be about 27k of HDB owners that want to upgrade. Even if these 27,000 owners, they don't upgrade, if 20 to 30% of them actually do, it forms up a supply wave that will come into the market. This could mean 30%, 5,400 units that are upcoming in the overall supply of units to sell. So the flats reaching MOP over the few years, that is where we want to study and understand. This is where the action really shows up. Because this survey is not really a demand story. It's the size of the queue that you are able to look forward, we are able to see. And more than half of your future competitors, if you are a HDB owner, just told you what they are hoping for, especially if you are looking to upgrade from a HDB to a condo. And here is what makes it sharper, because more than 50% is not spread evenly. It's mostly by millennials and Gen Zs. So these are essentially the generation which are going to raise young families, especially when we're talking about 4-room flats and 5-room flats, and the generation that is more likely to be very comfortable in taking up a loan because they are able to leverage on a full loan tenure. Their installments tend to be at the lowest because of their age. And if all of them are deciding what's next at around the same time, this is not going to come out as something that we should take it lightly in that sense. So now, if I were to take another data for us to see what should you do now if you're looking to upgrade from a HDB to a condo. From our survey, it actually shows that more than 2 in 5 people expect to sell their flats at a premium. So selling your flat at a premium is pretty understandable. But if you're talking about upgrading to a condo, this is where you need to be a bit more careful, because when you want to upgrade to a condo, you would most probably want to upgrade before everybody else wants to do so. And secondly, the thing is, if you want to upgrade before everyone actually do so, right, should you follow the general market? Because if you want to do so, this will slow down your selling process. And in the end, ultimately, the overall big picture of your property price for a private condo could increase faster than a HDB. So in this sense, this is where you need to be a little bit more practical in your asking price as well. Not saying you should sell at a discount, but saying that you should sell at a reasonable price for you to move before other people move. And this is especially important if you are a HDB owner who is looking to upgrade to a condo today or maybe in the next 1 to 2 years. Plan ahead and move before the market actually moves. So how do you actually plan your purchase? This is the next part that we want to talk about, because over here there are 3 main slides that actually shows generally where is the demand going to go to. And this is also applicable if you are planning to buy a private condo today. So the general market, of course, 1/3 of the respondents in the survey actually shows that they are happy with their current home. But of course, a lot of people are thinking about a BTO resale HDB flat. That aside, there is also a big chunk of people who is looking between new launch and resale condos, and even towards the resale EC condos. So when you're talking about the private condo segment, there is also a wide range of budget that we are looking at. So which are the budget that is most heavily contested? We want to see how much is the housing budget for most of the people here. And a big bulk, about 1/3 of the people, their budget actually falls between $1 million to $1.5 million, which essentially means that today, if you are planning your private condo purchase at around this quantum, most likely that will mean that when they want to buy a private condo, they will want to purchase within this quantum as well. So if your budget actually falls between these, you don't see your budget increasing in 6 to 12 months time. This is also a very clear indicator for you to know and plan your purchase way ahead before other people actually take action. The second group of people actually falls between the 1.5 to 2 million mark. So in the OCR region, based on my experience, I see that the 3-bedroom resale ECs or the 3-bedroom private condos tend to move very fast. So if you're looking at this as well, this is the sweet spot quantum for today's market, especially when it is mass market. So plan your purchase properly if you fall between these. But however, if your budget falls between $2 million to $2.5 million, the ones that you're looking at is a 2-bedroom condo. I wouldn't think this is of much urgency as compared to a big size unit. Which is why I keep advocating that today, if you have this amount of budget, you're thinking of buying a 2-bedroom versus a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom, right? I would generally advise my clients to look for the bigger unit types, because we can already see where the demand is generally flowing. Okay, last but not least, the 3 main considerations when you are buying, especially if you are thinking of it from an investment point of view. Little tips here is there are 3 main considerations for most people. One is being convenient, that means close to MRT, close to transport hub. Next is, of course, falling within their budget, which is quite logical. Last is the property has to have the right amount of space, which is what I have been advocating, to focus on buying as big of a unit as possible, especially if your quantum or if your budget falls between the 1 million to 2 million budget. Try to aim as big of a unit as possible, because people today, they just want more space. And of course, over here, there are preferences in terms of where their next home is based on this survey, which I will not dive deep, because to me, I don't believe that location is everything. There is still things that we have to really pay attention to, is the unit size, the project size, in terms of the project, in terms of the overall micro demand of the area as well. If you are not so sure how to actually navigate this based on this survey, you can reach out to me via my contact number here. At the same time, if you want to have a copy of this playbook, whether you are looking from a selling perspective or a buying perspective, there are 2 different documents that I can send you as well. Remember to join me at my Telegram community, because you will be able to have your copy of this survey. No questions asked. Join my community. You'll be able to download this. I hope you have enjoyed my content so far. Remember to like and subscribe to my channel. Reach out to me for your private real estate consultation. We can talk at my number here, and I'll see you in my next video.